Welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hi, and welcome back to the fourth day of the Breaking Ties interview series, where we're talking with professionals who assist those in getting through the divorce process and answer questions on many common thoughts that we have had along the way. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional, and I have the pleasure of being with Dr. Stephanie Beelendorf today. Dr. B is basically a prenatal and pediatric specialist at Select Health Chiropractic in St. Charles, Illinois, and just a wealth of knowledge with regards to health, wellness, and even the divorce process, as she will tell you she's been through it herself. And keep in mind, if you haven't joined us for the earlier part of this week, this is part 4 of 5. And so you're going to want to go back and check out the other episodes of the series because we went over different questions. So today's question is not the same as we had the rest of the week. And then tomorrow we're going to wrap this up. So you're going to want to come back then as well. Welcome back, Dr. B. Great to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Mike. It's good to be here.
Excellent. Love it. So I tell you, I appreciate all the great information you've been sharing with the listeners. And, I've been learning myself and just enjoying it. I hope you've found it to be beneficial as well.
Oh, this has been awesome. I love helping people. That's my calling. And, unfortunately, but fortunately, as I've mentioned before, I went through divorce, and the reality is it's one more facet that I get to help people in. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Yeah. And, I always think, a lot of times people think of divorce and it's just the husband and the wife and they're going through the process. But the reality is if you have children, they're right there, right next to you. They're seeing things, they're hearing things, so you really want to pay attention to them as well. And when it comes to the health and wellness during the divorce process, I know I brought my kids to see you, but what advice would you have for other parents out there with regards to helping their children through the process?
Yeah, that one definitely hits home with me. I got to see kind of the full spectrum of the differences in each child, and how they react or how they go through the process themselves. One of my daughters, our oldest daughter in common, definitely struggled quite a bit with the whole idea of us not being together and the whole newness of everything. So it was definitely a big stress. And as you mentioned, they see things, they hear things. She became hyper vigilant, and inquisitive, wanted to know why. That was kind of her big thing. And actually, as I found out later, was, if I was on the phone with attorneys or all the things you have to go through, she would stand at the door and she was listening. And the things that you try to protect your kids from, sometimes you can't always, even if you're a good parent. I mean, we're human. So yeah, that was a process. And it becomes particularly difficult if the child has any struggles to begin with. So we see a lot of kids with neurological issues, everything from sensory to a processing disorder. You may or may not have heard of that. ADD, ADHD, so focus issues, kids with autism, but anything pretty much you can think from a neurological standpoint or a sensory standpoint, we see kids on all different spectrums. And so those kids particularly, or if they're already having sleep issues or they're already having other issues, add a whole heap of stress on top of that, of going through the process of uncertainty, not knowing, a lot of times we try to protect them and then that makes it harder on them, right? Because they're really going, where am I going to live? What are we going to do? They just know that mom and dad are getting divorced. especially the real smart ones. A lot of times the smart ones, I swear to God to you, intelligence and some of those sensory things, they run hand in hand, because it's just heightened awareness. It's a neurological thing. I myself have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD at a young age, so I'm very compassionate to that. Thank goodness for my chiropractors, because they have helped me tremendously. They wanted to medicate me in second grade. So at a young age, just like a lot of these kiddos, so you see a kid that already has challenges, or maybe a kid that doesn't, and then they become more challenging, whether it's behavioral or anything across the board. So chiropractic really does help with that, because what it does is, again, if you go back to some of those previous episodes, we talked about the vagus nerve. And so there's two parts to your autonomic nervous system. You have your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. And then you have your sympathetic. You want to have a nice balance between the two. Obviously, if you want to have some reaction to stress, if you don't, that's not good. If a tiger comes to eat you, you want to be able to get away. But you also want to be able to calm down, relax, rest, sleep, and digest your food. So that balance is very imperative to a healthy functioning adult, but also child. And what's great is when you get adjusted, it stimulates that vagus nerve and it brings your parasympathetic nervous system back online. So then you have that more calming effect, which is very important for anybody, but think about it, especially for those kids with sensory issues. And then you add stress on top of it of divorce. So, yeah.
Yeah, you bring up some really great points in there with regards to kids and how they are going to process and what they look for. And really, I would say probably one of the biggest takeaways is the fact that every kid is different. You just can't go, oh, well, my kids will respond this way. No, one kid will respond one way, another kid another way, and the third kid even differently. And that might require multiple ways of therapy and stuff too. Some might do talk therapy, some might do exercise, some might see the chiropractor and health and wellness route with meditation and stuff. So you just kind of got to watch and learn from your kids themselves to see exactly, where you can help them, I think. So, but I'm definitely, like I said, been an advocate of chiropractic. My boy's been going there for a long time. They play football. I felt like it was important there. And, I always stress to them to continue it on as they get older, kind of thing. So, yeah, great episode, Dr. B. I appreciate all the information that you provided. And this is 4 of 5. We're almost home free. So I would like to invite all our listeners to look us up again tomorrow. Check out that episode as we hit the last and final topic of the week. And you're going to learn some great stuff when Dr. B comes back. So we would like to thank you for joining us today. If you need to reach out to Dr. B, I'm going to have her contact information over in the description. So feel free to drop her a line in any way you feel comfortable. And I know she's going to do a great job. Remember, divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, we will see you tomorrow. Take care.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce with Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow.